Hi, I hope you can hear me. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say hi to everyone and thank you for the introduction. Being named Wonder Woman is kind of nice, definitely. Fits perfectly, I would say. The thing I want to say here as well is I want to say hi to everyone I know personally and to say nice to meet you, Terry, and I don't know, and I hope we can talk in the Zoom later and get to know each other a bit better. And about the prize is a Facebook, actually. I have it there as well. You can see it on the screen, you can see it here. And it's actually a book which started my journey with artificial intelligence and AI and everything in general. And why I wanted you to read it, because it's kind of a simple introduction to neuroscience, to psychology, to how the mind works. It's also, there is some mathematics in it, and it's actually kind of really scientific, I would say. I like everything scientific, and this book is scientific. It's not some kind of magic, it's not revealing anything crazy, but it's just good starting point. But also, even if you're a data scientist and you know everything already, it's kind of a nice read, really. So when you get the book, please read it. If you have questions or you want to talk about it, let me know. And you have my LinkedIn, or you will have my LinkedIn later. You can just ping me there and we can talk about it. Um, let's start with me. You see me like double. Cool. Now let's go for the first slide. As you know already, I'm going to be giving 3 webinars. So this one is the first one, and this one is a bit of a different approach, I would say, because today, just to not scare any tech person here, it's going to be more of a business high-level side of the whole AI tech stack and choosing the right AI tech stack and so on. But it has a reason, and the reason is that, from my experience, most of the time, lots of people make a mistake with where they don't work together with the BA or business analyst. We have this strange idea that tech people don't work together with the business people, and business people do not want to work together with the tech people. And we have many reasons for it. Some people can be just too prideful, or business people might think they don't have enough tech acumen for it. No matter the reason, it's actually very much an important thing for everyone to work together, because the process I'm going to be showing you today is heavily built on the knowledge of business analysts, but it should be supported by the knowledge of the tech part of your project. Let's say, like, if you have an SDO, you have a solution architect, technical architect, data science engineer, whatever, whoever works for your project as a technical person, they should work together with the business people. And I'm going to be giving you some examples of it as well. So let's start. Another note here. If I talk too fast, let me know. If you have questions, write them down in the chat and we can talk about it later. That's it, actually. So let's start. The important thing here, first of all, is to start with that one, with that slide you can see on your screen right now. Why is it so important? Because no matter what use case you have, lots of the people never answer the question why they want to use AI for it. And sometimes you can have an answer something like, because it's a new tech, I want to try it out. Whatever, cool. But really, we're talking science here. We're talking technology here. And technology is not magic. It's not something, I don't know, out of the blue or whatever. It's science. Technology is mathematics. It's set in a like a system, and it would work in that system. If you do not put it into the system, it would not work. How to define the system? I thought this morning of some type of a metaphor just to give you, to explain what I'm going to be explaining with that process. Imagine you have a puzzle, like a big 1,000 pieces puzzle. And when you open it up, you have lots of information there, right? You have like lots of different pieces, and they all have different colors and so on. The first thing you do, you would build the board, like the borders, right? You would just start with the borders, and then you start filling it in with the rest of your puzzles. And one day you will have the beautiful puzzle, put it on your wall, and be proud of yourself that you are able to put together a 1,000-piece puzzle, which is great, actually. But this one is exactly like this. We have a giant amount of information, and we need to build those borders to start filling them in. The first step is to answer the question why you want to use AI. And I mean AI, not just artificial intelligence, I mean machine learning based technology, meaning you understand your process so good and you know that my business process should be automated. It's so repetitive, so I can automate it with intelligent technology as machine learning and it would work. And if you can, like, if this is your why, the rest is fine. You can just go ahead with the tech stack and so on. So when you have the why, you go and start defining the KPIs, the scope, like you go through the analysis I'm going to show you later, and then you have the technology. Important thing here as well is that's why I have this like upside down pyramid here. It's that first you have a lot of information, then you drill it down, you break it down, and you go to the point where you have your technology, everything works, and everyone is happy. So let's go with the KPIs. No, actually, before the KPIs, let me drink a little. Before the KPIs, I decided to go with 2 use cases, and those use cases are heavily anonymized, so I can't really tell you the exact technology we use for it, for example, or like absolutely exact data, exact information. I cannot do it because it's a client and there's this thing called data security, and I'm a professional consultant, I cannot do that. But also, why I wanted to choose these choose these 2 use cases, because the first one is the use case A, and that's absolutely the simplest thing you can build. It's an FAQ chatbot. It has less than 250 intents, and this is where things didn't work well because the KPIs were defined incorrectly, and that led to the whole analysis and scope being incorrect. Technology was chosen correctly, but it was kind of a coincidence, I would say, like a lucky coincidence. But even if the technology was chosen correctly, it was applied incorrectly, and at the end, the whole use case didn't work. And you would say, okay, it's just the absolutely simplest thing, but it didn't work. And the use case B is an absolutely the most complex thinking, I mean, like one of the complex AI-based things you can think of, because it was document indexing, and we had like more than 50 classes. We had 2,500 different types of documents, scans. It is still, or I hope it's not, like a heavily manual process where people take a look at the document, look for some type of information, put it into software, and hope for the best. And this is where you would definitely need a lot of machine learning based software. And this is where this process, what I'm going to show you right now, helped us to ace it. We actually made it work. It was perfect. And I'm kind of even proud of it, actually, that I was part of this project, because it was really a lot of fun, and the process I'm going to show to you worked magic, really. It was magical. Let's go for the KPI. KPI, key performance indicators, you might all know about them. If you don't know, ask your BA. I would say kind of a good thing. It starts a conversation, just an icebreaker. But the thing you should do here is prioritize. This is really, really important. I have on the slide some examples of KPIs you could have, because what normally happens is you have those KPIs, and the KPIs come from the business analyst most of the time, actually. And they will help you out because they know how the process works in the high level from the business perspective. And they would tell you, okay, these are the needs. This is what we need to do. This is what we want to have at the end. This is why we use the machine learning based technology. This is where you have the KPIs. The important part to prioritize your KPIs, because the prioritized KPIs are going to be the requirement for future product selection. I'm going to show you later as well. But it's really important to define the KPIs. And I have an example with those use cases here as well. You have the use case A and use case B. And the use case A, it's still anonymized, so it's not exactly as it was, but they wanted to give an easy access and secure access to policies via a language-based interface. They only had one engineer and one BA, and that's it. And they didn't really have people knowing how to work with it. And this is where your I would say BA plus a tech person would say, yes, maintainability would be the main KPI, the prioritized KPI, because we don't have people to maintain it properly if we just go for some crazy tech. For whatever reason, accuracy was chosen. And you know that accuracy is actually not a KPI for a chatbot most of the time. It's kind of is, but it's actually not. So, because in the whole why was the point where we want it to be easy, we want it to be maintainable. So this is a broadly defined KPI. In the use case B, you have the why as we want to automate a heavily manual process of indexing incoming documents to minimize fraud and human factor, meaning human error. And this is where we work together with a team of engineers and team of BAs, and we came up with accuracy, ability to process higher volumes of information, cost, integration, security, scalability, and functionality. Those are the KPIs we use later as the requirement for product selection. When you have the KPIs, it's just the little part of the border you have of the puzzle, but you still have things to do and to work on. And this is where I decided just to go with the checklist. You have the checklist. It will be, we will send it to you later, or maybe there will be a pop-up with this checklist, and you don't really need to have like a screenshot of it or something. But the important thing here is scope is scope. You know what scope is. And if you answer those questions, and they don't really like, I didn't put them into some special order or something like that, but those are the questions you would need to answer. If you answer them, the probability of you making a mistake in choosing the wrong tech and doing the wrong thing is going really low. It's going to be really low, and it's just like, you just relax, you know. So just to maybe run through some of them. I'm not going to go through all of them, just I would run through some of them. And the first one is going to be the 3 main priority KPIs, but it would be better to have a list of KPIs, let's say 6, 8, no matter how many you have, based on the complexity of your use case. Then thinking about the user, right? You have the end user, if it's a customer-facing solution, or if it's not a customer, actually, most of the time you have the user anyway. But you also have the team of engineers who would be putting this thing together, and you would think of them as well. You would be like, okay, we need to make sure that the engineers know what they're doing, meaning that the next question, the question number 4, is actually one of the most important ones, is do we have the resources to maintain the future solution? Meaning, if you have a team of engineers, if you have a team of data scientists who are crazy enough to crunch numbers 24/7, then you can go for, I don't know, some crazy open source and make sure things work out. But if you don't have it, the best way for you to choose the tech based on some cloud provider, on some platform where you have the 24/7 support from the provider, and everything is already there. You need to click things through together and it will work, and that's it. You don't need to know what's happening in the background, right? But also like the technological resources, I have GPU access as like the heavyweight example, because if you work on something where you need GPU, you would need to understand that you need to have access to it. And there are ways how to get access to it. And this will define your tech stack in the future. But also like data storage, meaning not only the amount, but also like cloud. If we're talking about GDPR, if you know what GDPR is, it's a way how to store the data securely, not share it with everyone. That's kind of restricting everything, but this would tell you, okay, are we allowed to go for cloud? Are we allowed to go for hybrid cloud? Are we going for private cloud? Or are we doing everything on premise? We cannot go for cloud at all, no? And then you have the rest of the questions, and it would be really nice if you, when you have a use case, you work on the use case, you want to go for it, tech stack, and you don't know exactly what technology to use, would be really nice that you answer every question, and do not answer the questions like, whatever, that would mean something. Please be scientific. Please answer the questions the way they should be answered. Like, you need to have A, B, C, D response to every question, because at the end, this is your border of your puzzle. And if you have something missing, the puzzle would not work and would annoy perfectionists out of us, I guess. So let's go for the next phase. Let's say we have the KPIs, we prioritize them, we have the answers to the questions of the checklist of the scope. We have everything done there. And then we go for the analysis part. And again, I'm asking you here to work together with your BAs because they know how to break down the process. Just example here, you have the business process, like for the use case A, where you have only NLP, where we use only natural language processing. You have question, you analyze keyword, you match it to intent, you send the answer back, everything is fine. You don't need to think a lot about it. But in the use case B, you need to take the process what just human is like doing, like this manual person using manual work and just going through this process, and you write it down. You break it down to the pieces where you can assign technology to every step of the process. Like here you have look at the document, find an ID number, object detection. If ID number is typed, it's an OCR. If it's a handwritten one, you need to use some computer vision software to just analyze the handwriting. Then if you have some type of a text there and you need to look for some extra information, you would go for NLP and text analysis. And then also to be able to assign an index to a document and just get, like make sense out of all those little pieces of information you collected with the rest of your ML, you would need some customized data model which would be able to make sense of what you collected there, right? Next one. Just to explain you what this slide means is I wanted to go with the use case B and explain you what's what, and I was not allowed to share the information because it's a client and I'm not allowed to do it. But I decided just to show you that, let's say we need to use something NLP, something computer vision, and something machine learning. And we would choose based on our KPIs and our scope, these 6 software for NLP. I just took some crazy ones, just like out of my mind. And I was like, hey, let's go for AWS, Spacey, OpenNLP from Apache, and NLTK and so on. The same for computer vision. You just choose some kind of software, some different software, and you have a short list. So this is important that you have a short list of, let's say, 6 different APIs and 6 different technologies for each category you have. And this is how you do the product selection. The boxes you have here with like NLP 6, computer vision 6, ML 6, and so on. 6 is the amount of APIs you're gonna test. Let me think how to explain it in a short time because I don't think I have enough time for explaining it. But anyway, you have a short list of software you want to test first. How you test the software? You take a sample of the data, but you just don't take some kind of data. Take a sample of the data you're going to be working with. Take the sample, run the sample through this software you chose, like through 6 of those softwares you chose, like those softwares, applications, APIs, whatever you decided to go for, and see how they perform based on your requirements. The requirements come from your KPIs. As you see here is requirement categories. It's a point for like the number 4. Yeah. The requirement categories: security, scalability, functionality, performance, availability, technicality, maintainability. This is what you do. You decide based on your KPIs what requirements are the most important ones. You take the sample data, you run your software and see how your software performs regarding this KPI you have, regarding this requirement. And then you have the scoring system. I have just an example of a scoring system. As you have there, must have, should have, nice to have, ignore, and then you give them weights like not met 0, partially met 1, met with additional customization 2, met 3, exceeded 4, and so on. And when you calculate those weights together, you would have a weight for each technology you chose, like each API and so on. And then out of 6, you would take the best performing 3, and then you run the same sample of data, or you take another sample of data. It's up to you if you have this much or this little data. It depends on your use case. And then you take another 3 KPIs you have and run again those tests with those 3 with another set of KPIs and see how they perform. And then you have the weights again, and then you would see, okay, this is the software ABC, let's say Spacey performs the best for our KPIs, we're going to go with Spacey. Or you say for machine learning, we decide to go with TensorFlow and it does everything for us. We just don't need anything else. We tested 6 different softwares, but TensorFlow was always the best. Fits to our scope, fits to our KPIs, fits to everything. We go with TensorFlow. And this is actually how you do the product selection for your tech scope. Another thing for tech scope, for tech stack. Another thing about the scope actually here is that in the scope, I had questions like, do we want to go platform? Do we want to be agnostic? Do we have money to put into development and maybe we decide to go for more open source based software and then we have the people to maintain it and then we can build the platform, maybe sell it later. Or you say, I don't have anything of this and I'm okay to be dependent on the vendor because I get support at the end, I get cool things at the end, and I will go with the vendor. Those things inside your scope, they're actually also the requirement for your product selection, but they come from KPIs anyway. I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you. If you don't understand, I can run through this process again when you ask questions or in the Zoom. I know it might be complicated for some, but it's really important. So the next slide, and maybe it's going to be one of the last slides, just wanted to give you an example how this process worked for use case A and how this worked for use case B. For the use case A, what happened there is the KPIs was defined incorrectly and they wanted to go for accuracy and it was defined to be like 90% or something, which is crazy for chatbot at all in general, considering that they want to have maintainability as the main KPI because they didn't have a team to work on it. They just wanted to have like a BA, an engineer, just to type things in, update the policies or update the answers and be happy with that. And this is where they chose a cloud provider. So they thought, okay, we go for a cloud provider and we're gonna go and use the ready-to-use chatbot framework, and it worked. What they didn't do is because they wanted to show that accuracy is somehow manageable, and it was not manageable with this ready-to-use framework because they already provide trained data models and they already like maintain some kind of accuracy higher than something. This is how they sell things, how they like vendors sell the ML software. But they started building a custom-built machine learning engine under the roof of this cloud, of this chatbot framework. It's crazy. I know it's crazy. Just don't ask me questions there. It's just crazy, and it was all crazy. And the better way was just to scrape it and start over. But at the end, we made it we managed to save it and so on. But the important thing is that one KPI was defined absolutely wrong, and everything went wrong, really. It's just there was no way to save it. And for the use case B, we had a giant team of cool people working together, knowing what they're doing, and it was a lot of fun. And when like the BAs helped us with the process, they helped us to define the KPIs. Then the tech people came in with the solution architect and technical architect and all of that, and just started putting this all together into some kind of a working system. The system worked because we were able to build the borders and fill in the puzzles, and the thing was great. What we did there is it was a mix of open source software and cloud-based services because they already have things in one cloud provider, and they hosted a lot of things that were ready, so they already had an opportunity to use it. So you have this covered. And then we had the flexibility needed. We had high accuracy results because we still had access to those the open source where we could customize and build machine learning pipelines and see how things working. It was scalable if it was needed, if we knew, okay, maybe more data is going to come in, or maybe the next use cases, because like normally what you would have in a proper production environment, I would say, or like in a proper organization, you would have a backlog with lots of user stories, which will then later be use cases. and you would make a decision for your tech stack based on the use cases you still have in the backlog. And you would be like, okay, in the future, I want to use case ABC as a addition to the current use case I'm working on. And this is what we actually did. So we had the scalability there. There was no really high need in extra integration effort or something like this because we already had the platform there. And there was an option for encryption available, and we worked together with the provider as well. But we also had support from a big team of data scientists who would crunch the numbers for us with the open source. And it worked magic. It was a miracle, and it was amazing. And again, the process, when run correctly, worked perfect. That would be it for today. But before I come to the rest of it, I know that you are aching to know more about the technical part. I'm aching to explain it too as well, but it's going to be the second webinar where I'm going to be going, like, I'm going to be like deep diving, I would say, into the infrastructure, how to build them, what are the common ones, how to build them based on the process I just explained with the chosen tech, how to marry the tech together, how to make sure everything works. So this part is going to be the next webinar on the June 18th. And then on the July 2nd, actually, there will going to be another webinar I'm going to be giving about the future of AI business. And it's going to be my more or less idea, or like what I would say, my predictions in this regard, just based on what I've seen, based on I was lucky enough to work in Germany, in France, in the UK. I've seen things there. I know how they work, and also lucky enough to work with in amount of industries and seen things. I just say it like this. So I will be happy to share my perspective on the future of AI business in Europe. And this is what you can see there. And now you can ask me questions.